Not only that, but in Middle Eastern culture, the feet were incredibly significant, as was the head. The feet symbolized the lowest, basest, grossest, most nasty part of a person. And the head signified, of course, then the greatest, the most ennobled, the most wise, the most beautiful part of a person. There was a student from a Middle Eastern culture that was in college and walked into a classroom to see a student talking with a professor, and as we do sometimes in America, fairly casual, he'd kind of kick back in his chair and he'd put his feet on the desk of the professor. Just kicking back, relaxing, no big deal. They were friends, they were talking. And the Middle Eastern student was appalled and horrified because what he was saying, in his mind, what that said was, the student was saying, look, my worst is as good as your best. My feet I'm putting up towards your head saying, my worst is better than your best. So Jesus is taking, and he's saying, look, I will take my absolute best and put it at the level of your worst. I will take the absolute greatest of me and put it below your greatest pain, your greatest hurt, your greatest poor choices, your greatest pain, the stuff of your soul that you don't really want people to know about. I will put my head at the level of your feet, and then I will take that disgustingness to myself and wash it clean. Never in the history of spiritual leaders has there been someone who said, I have come to serve, not to be served. I've come to take your basest part and put it over me. I will serve you to the point that I will be the one to wash away your sin. I will be the one to wash away the stuff of your life. Oh, how I have seen Christian after Christian after Christian somehow still believing in their heart that if they do enough, if they're good enough, then Jesus will love them and Jesus will accept them. But here is Jesus who says, you don't have to do anything for me to come down and to love you. And not just that, I want to wash it away and make something completely and totally new of your life.
Amen.
Never has there been a leader, a superhero of faith that has ever taken up the robe of a servant to come and to wash the feet of someone else. That is even greater evidence in some ways to me than the fact of a resurrected Christ. Because humans can't come up with that kind of love on their own. We see it modeled in the life of Jesus. Instinctively we know that fair is fair and you do good and you're rewarded. Instinctively we know. But here is Jesus. Just as I put myself, my head, at the level of your feet. I take your nasty disgustingness and I draw it to myself. And I take it on myself so you can have a new life. This Memorial Day weekend, we celebrate those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. The thousands upon thousands of men, estimates of over 1 million people that have given their lives in service of this country. The ultimate sacrifice. I've never been there, but I've heard that going and standing in front of the Vietnam Memorial is an amazingly emotional experience. 58,200 names etched in stone of men who didn't come back. Those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for their country. If you look close enough through those names, you'll find the name of a young man named Milton Olive III. Milton Olive III. He was only 17 when he joined the Army. He was assigned to the 3rd Platoon of Company B, sent to Vietnam. Landed, born and raised in Chicago, nothing can prepare you for landing in a war zone like Vietnam was. The heat, the humidity, the war. And he made friends with 4 other guys, Vince and Lionel, Jimmy and John, who became the 5 of them became inseparable. They basically made a covenant with each other, a compact with each other that said, we're going to stick together and stay alive. We're going back together. We're going to look out for each other. We're going to make sure we get through this. One day they're out on patrol. They're heading through the bush, down a trail, and suddenly, right in the middle of them lands a hand grenade. Enemy hand grenade. Moment stands still into slow motion. If you've ever had the experience of incredible intensity where time just seems to slow down. As they look at each other, they look down at this hand grenade because it's live. They know exactly what that hand grenade is going to do in just a couple seconds. They know exactly what the end result of this is. There's no question. And they all freeze in terror. What do? You have a second to live. Except for Milton. He jumps forward and he grabs that hand grenade and he sticks it into his midsection and he doubles over and falls to the ground so that he will absorb the blow of that hand grenade, the force of that hand grenade's explosion. As his friends are still not even able to really wake up yet to figure out what's going on and to pull out of that daze of shock, they watch as he grabs it and he tucks it and he falls and he's there and time is ticking in slow motion. There's no question what's going to happen. When you're in war, you know life and death. Vince, Lionel, Jimmy, and John are still alive. Etched in their minds is the day that their friend Milton gave his life in what redefines ultimate sacrifice, because it was voluntary sacrifice. They didn't have to. He didn't have to. He chose to give his life to save.